Mr. Beast is one of the biggest channels on YouTube, and this guy is well known for his philanthropy work, along with multiple game shows he's hosted, plus all of his various YouTube channels he runs, his candy bars, his fast food chain, Beast Burger. Mr. Beast is basically known by most of the children who watch on YouTube. But what if I were to tell you Mr. Beast is not the person he claims to be, or presents himself?
Yeah, I don't know if this guy should be doing this. He looks really sick, Jimmy.
I mean, it probably wouldn't shock you because there seems to be a lot of that going around online nowadays, but between Ava Tyson's allegations, hiring sex offenders, unsafe work environments, illegal lotteries, unethical business practices, today I want to cover a timeline of events leading up to where we are now, following Ava Tyson's allegations all the way to Dogpack 404's expose on the company as a whole. In the last month, there has been so much that has come out, and I might be coming late to the party, but I've been debating on whether or not I should cover this because of how it's been covered by channels that are way bigger than mine. And honestly, I don't have any dogs in this fight, but personally, I'm not a huge fan of Mr. Beast. I've never liked his content. I find it to be very off-putting and now extremely scummy, especially if you see what some of these allegations are claiming, but we're gonna get into that. Before we do, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on my latest videos. This is my first YouTube news video, so we'll see how this does, but let's get into it. So, Ava Tyson is a longtime friend of Jimmy Donaldson, who is Mr. Beast, for whoever might not know that, but on June 13th, 2024, a video was uploaded by Prism42, where he basically sits and goes over all of the text logs like he's Chris Hansen, and he alleges that Ava Tyson was basically sending inappropriate messages to a fan over X in Discord. And this normally wouldn't be a problem if he was just alleging this, but he had physical messages to back up his claims. This would start the wave of online investigators who started digging through Ava Tyson's social media, and what people found was incredibly disturbing. Many people found the art that Ava Tyson had commissioned, which would depict young animated children wearing provocative clothing, along with young children basically posing in the nude. This was done long before the allegations came out, and somehow this went over people's heads. This is just fucking disgusting, and the fact that Ava has a child makes this even more disturbing. The chat logs makes it look even worse, as Ava was talking to a Mr. Beast fan who goes by the name of Lava GS on X. You can see Lava make an appearance in one of Mr. Beast's videos called "I Made 100 People Escape Through an Impossible Maze."
Lava, Pluto, assemble!
Hi, how are you?
I need you to make this 10 times harder.
How hard do you want it, Jimmy?
Hard.
This really makes you wonder, how many kids was Ava talking to? We know about the ones that have spoken up, but how many have stayed silent to avoid hurting Mr. Beast's brand? One of the screenshots that Prism42 shows in his video is Ava Tyson asking people if they would like her to stream again, and Lava GS responds with, "Yes, please stream again." After this, Ava responds with, "Thanks, Dad, will you moderate it?" And this is just absolutely disgusting to be talking to a 14-year-old kid like this, and it gets even worse. It gets even worse. Later in the video, Prism42 will show a disturbing screenshot of Lava GS commenting on Ava Tyson's post of her wife at the time, saying, "Chris, does she know about your hentai addiction?" I don't think I need to explain what that is at this point, but again, how would this 14-year-old know this shit unless you've been sharing intimate details of your prawn choices with them? And this is just the beginning. Later, it is claimed that Lava GS met up with Ava Tyson in real life. And keep in mind, this is a 22 to a 24-year-old bringing a camper so that they can hang out together. And that just screams red flag. This doesn't even compare to the Snapchats that Ava would send to Lava, where in the picture it says, blanking for America, which you can't see what he's doing, but it's pretty fucking obvious that you shouldn't be messaging a 14-year-old boy this, joking or not. After all the disturbing screenshots of Lava and Ava's interactions would go viral, Mr. Beast would finally make a statement, saying that he has removed Ava from the channel and he is going to hire a third party to investigate. And I think he was hoping that this would close the floodgates, but this would have an opposite effect and would lead to many other people coming forward. that they would say that they were either groomed or preyed on by Ava. One of these people goes by the name of Nathan W. On July 24th, 2024, Nathan would post a video of Ava's Discord chats, and this would be so he could back up his statement that he made earlier. And after this, both him and another user named Cookie, who is a Discord moderator, would start releasing screenshots and videos onto a chat server on the website GitHub for everybody to look at. Not only did this show Ava's disgusting behavior with minors, but it would also implicate other MrBeast employees. The new statement and logs claim that the other staff at the company had knowledge of the inappropriate conversations with underage kids, including MrBeast, and that was a loose-lipped secret in the company. If this is true, this is still one of the things that Jimmy has yet to speak on, but if this is true, this is starting to make the entire company look like Nickelodeon in the 90s, and a former employee named Jake the Viking would post a tweet on X saying that Jimmy knew and that he had hired Jake's brother-in-law, nicknamed Delaware, with his real name being Charles Jefferson, who is a registered sex offender. They would make him wear a mask in his videos so that people couldn't figure out his identity. And this shows a close resemblance to the Quiet on the Set documentary, which talks about Drake Bell's abuser Brian Peck becoming a sex offender and still being allowed to work for Disney afterwards. This is making MrBeast look absolutely terrible, and I really would be interested to see how he explains his way out of this. The company itself is starting to get attacked on all sides, as former employees, fans, and even contestants have started coming forward about all of the horrible things that the company has done over the years. Next, we are going to get into the allegations made by Dogpack404 in his most recent 3-part expose that includes testimonies, and he breaks down the unethical business practices in the company. And keep in mind, most of this is alleged, but there's just so much evidence to back up all of these allegations that it just doesn't look very good. We need to start seeing some accountability instead of just ignoring all of this, but let's get into Dogpack and his 3-part video. So not only is this company hiring sex offenders and allowing inappropriate messages with underage kids, but they're also being accused of rigging their game shows, doing illegal lotteries, and faking videos. The claim for faking videos is not the first time this has been brought up. Many people over the years have tried to say MrBeast fakes his videos, which Jimmy denies outright, and it was even brought up in his lie detector video where they asked him, "Have you ever faked a video?" and the lie detector said no. But this video is one of the videos that have been claimed to be fake, and with the evidence provided by Dogpack, it's starting to look more and more likely that it is in fact fake. Another allegation he makes is that the game show that MrBeast runs on his channel is all rigged to favor one team or one player. This is also supported by YouTuber Rossano Paisino, who says that she was a contestant on the show where the contestant won by hiding in a spot that was off limits, and they had cameras set up in all of the rooms so that they knew exactly where you would be. She claims that the show was rigged so that Logan Paul would have an unfair advantage over all of the other players. This is extremely illegal, if true, and Dogpack uses a clip from On Fire with Jeff Probst, who is the host of the Survivor show, to further support this.
We know they've tied them at the exact same tension. I mean, we get down to inches, and then we have a standards and practices person. And if you don't know what that is, on any kind of a game show where there is a prize, you have to have somebody that ensures that it's fair. They are out there essentially to make sure that we don't do something that would favor one player or one tribe.
Rossana actually reached out to MrBeast, and he didn't even deny that this happened, and he wanted to call her and figure it out to presumably try to shut her up. To show that MrBeast does not care about making the competition fair, he just wants good content, both winners from the game shows 1 and 2, where Zach King and the D'Amelio sisters won, they were accused of cheating during the show, and they were still allowed to keep their prize money when trivia answers would either be changed or wrong answers would just be blatantly ignored in favor of letting them win. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. That doesn't even cover what he talks about next with the illegal lotteries, which I guess is something that YouTubers have been doing for a long time, where the random giveaways are supposed to be random, but instead the giveaway goes to the person that pays the most money. There has been footage that has gone viral of other members signing his name onto shirts used for the giveaway. And this is just extremely disappointing. To somebody that presents himself as a good person, doing good things for people, cares more about how much he can exploit his audience that got him into that spot in the first place, it's disgusting. What's even more disgusting is that Mr. Beast also promotes child gambling through his candy company, where scanning a code off the candy bar will allow you to go to a website where you play a slot machine and you can win big prizes. And this is probably worse than EA's loot boxes back in the day, because you know the only people buying those garbage Feastables are mostly children. And they actually have done studies that show that kids are more likely to grow up with a gambling problem if they're introduced to gambling early on in life. That's more of a light allegation with his candy company, along with him false advertising that his candy is healthy, which is just cringe and blatantly not true, especially if you look at the label on the packaging. It's just blatantly not true. Candy is not healthy. It's clearly full of sugar. But that was the majority of what he covers in part 1. Now, part 2 is a lot heavier in terms of the subject matter. So the next part is a little bit heavier. It features the testimony of Jacob Weddle, who worked for Mr. Beast, and he was doing editing and taking part in some videos. He was supposed to take part in the original version of spending 100 hours in solitary confinement before it was eventually called off because of the mental stress that this poor guy had to go through. This challenge, or this video, would feature him doing multiple different challenges where he would solve Rubik's Cubes, and that's not even the worst thing that they try to do to this poor guy. For starters, they would not let him sleep. They said that it would fuck up the time-lapse shots, which is crazy because you're spending 100 hours in solitary confinement. The least that they could have let him do is sleep. So yeah, they would not let him sleep, so they were basically feeding him melatonin so he could get some kind of sleep. And even if he fell asleep, they would not let him sleep for long. Like, Mr. Beast would go in the room and wake him up purposely to tell him about the next challenge. I think the worst part about all of this is that Jacob would actually try to complain about them not turning off the lights, and the self-awareness with some of the people that worked there. They basically said that not allowing him to turn off the light so he could sleep was basically violating the Geneva Convention, which is 100% fucking true. And let me just get into the challenge part that ended up breaking this poor guy. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but trying to run a marathon as a normal person is hard. Normal people can't just wake up and say, I'm running a marathon. It takes years of training. Well, the new challenge that Jimmy was going to introduce was they were going to have this poor guy run a marathon, and they wanted him to do it without stopping. Obviously, he was able to take short breaks, but he basically started at 12 p.m. and did not stop until 3 a.m., which is insane. On top of the lack of sleep and being isolated is not good for somebody's mental health. And on top of that, it normally takes runners years to be able to train for a marathon. Eventually, this led to Jacob having severe sores on his feet, and instead of actually caring about what this kid went through, I mean, being in solitary confinement, they even show this in the video where Mr. Beast is in it, it puts a lot of strain on the human psyche. So, for them to just not be aware of the damage that this is doing to this poor guy is insane, and Jimmy only cared more about Jacob not suing him, which is insane. This is messed up. And so eventually this would lead for the challenge to be stopped because Jacob was just so out of his mind. He was decaying mentally. After he would end up on some form of medical leave where he was not allowed to walk because of how bad his sores were. I mean, they were huge sores apparently to what he was saying. And it just breaks my heart for this guy because you can tell I'll play a clip shortly of him talking about his story, but you can tell that this man has been through some shit with this guy. Jacob would actually also bring up a inequality in pay, which would lead to both him and another guy who worked there getting fired with severance, which is messed up because the other guy was not aware that Jacob was even going to bring that up to Jimmy. And this ended up leading a innocent father losing his job, who he didn't even care about the pay inequality. He just wanted to be in the room with the people making a difference. And you can tell how much guilt Jacob feels about how that all went down. And even from me watching from the sidelines, I felt absolutely horrible for him. I'm going to show this clip where he just breaks down because of what he describes in his testimony.
Yeah, I'm running until 3 a.m. When I got off the treadmill, the blisters I had on my feet were like, you wouldn't believe, just all over, just these big red. I couldn't walk. My muscles were like just the lactic acid. I got off the treadmill, and then the people that came in to like ice my feet, make sure I was good. Then that's when I was like, I'm done. I can't. I'm done. I'm out. I'm out. And that's when I get the psych in, and I talk to the psych about how I'm not well. And like I said, there was a lot of good people over there that was saying, you got to pull him out. Yeah, I had friends that did some freelance work, and they would tell me, they'd be like, yeah, everyone knows you over there, everybody loves you. They go, oh, Jake Weddle, love that guy. Shame what happened to him. Like I'm a ghost.
I'm 100% happy that this man was finally able to come forward about what he went through, because this is terrible. This is god awful. And I can't believe that they have not been sued yet for shit like this, because apparently he's not the only employee who's gone through something like this. The only good thing to come out of this is Jimmy Beast would finally reach out to him and offer him money, which he only took $50K out of the $190K supposedly, but it's good to see he finally got the money he deserved from what he had to go through. And so far, Jacob would be the only one to confirm Jimmy knowingly hiring a sex offender, and he sees philanthropy as a way to improve his image rather than doing something nice for somebody, and Jacob would show the viewers the production staff handbook. What's so messed up about this production handbook is this isn't even like a company employee book or whatever you call it, what most corporations will hand out to you before you start working there. This is just so you can get a location for filming. And it basically talks about manipulating civilians into letting you film in their store. Which, for starters, most people probably don't want to lose their jobs over letting a YouTuber film in their store. But this is just manipulating people and not exhausting your options through manipulating people, and it's just so tasteless, especially the top of the book. It says no does not mean no. Like, I don't know who thought that was a good idea to put that in the book, but and that's not even the worst that we're going to get into. I just want to quickly warn you guys in advance, this next part gets way heavier in terms of what the subject is about. I just want to warn you guys now, this is a trigger warning that's going in effect. This next part is also alleged. None of this is confirmed yet, but there's just a lot of evidence to back it up, like I say. But, alright, let's get into the next part. So, this next part is very heavy in terms of subject matter. I've already given you guys a trigger warning, but this next part goes into the majority of the evil business structure of Mr. Beast and focuses heavily on Mr. Beast's secret CEO, James Warren, who is Jimmy's cousin. And this guy has a long history. This guy has been indirectly involved in a Ponzi scheme and has been accused of beating his girlfriends. According to Dogpack and his sources, they claim that James Warren is also an ex-drug addict who offered Mr. Beast editors cocaine and hookers so that they would stay late and work on videos, which is not as bad depending on how you look at it, but it gets a hell of a lot worse. There was also an incident between him and a female coworker where they had sexual relations at work, and she would end up getting fired and given a severance package for 3 years so she wouldn't speak out about what happened between them. Dogpack says this multiple times throughout the video, so I will say it too. All of this is alleged until proven otherwise. Now is the part where things get technical. James Warren used to be the COO of Greenstone Ventures, and this was listed on his LinkedIn account before it was scrubbed after his Part 2 video went live, but Greenstone Ventures was shut down by the government because one of the CEOs, Joshua Hutchins, was arrested and charged with running a Ponzi scheme. James Warren is mentioned several times in the indictment and mentioned in court transcripts, and now he's working for the Mr. Beast Company, even though he was involved in literal fraud. And how this is even allowed just doesn't make any sense to me. Most of the victims of this Ponzi scheme were recommended to Joshua Hutchins by James Warren, and this is worrying, and I think this definitely needs to be addressed by Jimmy. The next person that is mentioned in this video is LaKoya Hill, and this guy is something else, man. He is the business partner of James Warren, and this guy ran an adult entertainment business like Male Undressers, and I'm censoring that, from 2017 to 2019. LaKoya Hill Entertainment was the name of this business, and he would eventually be hired onto the Mr. Beast staff as a higher up. He can be seen in this video with Ava Tyson getting a car.
Sir.
Now, it's weird that an adult entertainer is being hired for Mr. Beast videos because, again, Mr. Beast videos are for children. And the real issue here is that in 2021, he was allegedly fired for sexually assaulting his assistant. And for some reason, they make a point to say, to actually say that the assistant was a straight male. But according to Dogpack, he was quietly moved to a different company under the Mr. Beast umbrella called Unilingo. And Dogpack provides some screenshots of his sign-in info for the company to support this claim. This email was linked to LaKoya's YouTube channel, which was removed after Dogpack's first video, which just shows that the company is trying to cover something up. He was then brought back to Mr. Beast in 2023 and was promoted to Chief Financial Officer. Dogpack also shows these screenshots from former Mr. Beast employees, which allegedly states that LaKoya Hill was caught roofing employees and sexually assaulting his assistant. And that just kind of confirms that these are probably not just allegations anymore. Recently, Mr. Beast's company secretly moved him to the former Unilingo company, which is now Creator Global, as president of the company. Which is not at all surprising because they really like to hold on to PDF files and wrappers at the company. They fucking move them around like it's that ball in a cup, dude. It's ridiculous. But apparently there's also a leaked voicemail confirming that this is LaKoya Hill, and this is coming from James Warren.
Hey buddy, it's James. Sorry to be bothering you. I've done my absolute best not to bother you. But LaKoya had presented a bunch of stuff to me and Jimmy a little bit ago. All really great stuff. But he had asked me and Jimmy personally. He's like, hey, can I have a $28,000 bonus for work I did in the past? And I'm like, yeah, of course, man. And the reason for that is I had brought him up to my level, and I don't take bonuses. So for like 2 years, he didn't get any bonuses when our guys were getting like crazy percentage bonuses. I need a favor. Sue cannot process this bonus through Beast. I need a solid. Can you please process a $28K bonus for LaKoya? Let me know.
See, that's all he really had about LaKoya Hill. The last part of this video mainly focuses around the horrible work environment that Jimmy has created because of his misogynistic views and abusiveness towards women. And apparently he has his own boys club at the company, which is fucking so generic, dude. He thinks he's the Wolf of Wall Street, for Christ's sake. But apparently his boys club degrade women and talk down to women behind their backs, which might not be illegal but is extremely disgusting if that's true. The worst part about all this is that Jimmy's mom works as HR, so any reports of sexual harassment just goes right into the shredder, and the person that reports it either gets shamed into staying quiet or they get paid to leave. Now, one of the women that came forward about being sexually harassed by Ava Tyson stated that Jimmy said that one of the cameramen filming his documentary has footage of him saying something that would get him canceled if it were ever made public, which I would love to see what that was, I just want to see what exactly Jimmy would say to get canceled, because I think that's pretty funny. But besides that, she also confirmed that Jimmy was directly being informed about SA at the company, and he proactively tried to cover it up. She also corroborates the LaKoya Hill SA story, as well as there's also other SA allegations from the company. Dogpack then briefly talks about Jimmy's ex-girlfriend, who recently spoke out on Instagram, not directly mentioning Mr. Beast, but it's still quite obvious who she's talking about, especially when she says, if a man doesn't respect other women, he sure as hell won't respect you. And this just falls in line with the other misogynistic stuff Jimmy has said over the years that has just been overlooked. Dogpack also mentioned Rosanna Paisino again. Sorry, I'm really bad with names. But she came out with another statement in regards to how women contestants were not being allowed to change their tampons or underwear during game shows, and they would basically just bleed into their shorts because Mr. Beast and co. did not consider it a medical emergency. And it would basically get to the point where women would be begging the crew, and the crew would just laugh at them. And if this is true, this breaks my heart. Nobody should have to go through that, and it is disgusting that nobody is talking about that. Women should not have to suffer for something that they can't control, and that needs to change at this company. Like, this whole company is just disgusting, dude. It makes me sick to my stomach reading this shit. He wraps up the video talking about Jeff Hausenbold and how he was mentioned in the leak email as one of the people who's going to be leading the internal change at the company. The only problem is, this guy supposedly is the worst person to have in charge of that change, as he led the same kind of work environment at the last place he worked at SoftBank Vision Fund, which again is not a good sign. That's all he really shared in regards to Mr. Beast in that part though, and it honestly just begs the question, when is Mr. Beast himself going to respond to these allegations? And when is he going to address the fact that he had literal criminals working at his child audience-based company? Regardless, I think if he doesn't respond at all, this will most likely go away unless bigger journalists at Rolling Stone and New York Times keep pushing this down his throat. And I think there's a ton of information here that is deeply concerning. A lot of it is, again, alleged, so, I mean, there's no way to actually confirm this unless he comes out with another part, but most of this information is alleged, besides for the stuff that has been corroborated by, like, the Ava Tyson allegations and the sexual misconduct allegations. Those seem to be the main ones that have stuck so far. No workplace should be as toxic as what Dogpack is claiming here, and I hope that the people continue to speak out about this, because there is something clearly going wrong with this company, and it's gone on long enough. Mr. Beast also is associated with YouTube, and it also makes you wonder if YouTube is going to do anything about this. These are all questions that I feel need to be asked for the safety of the people working at the company and the safety of the children watching. If Nathan W. and Lava G3 were so quickly targeted by Ava, what's stopping other sex offenders hired by Mr. Beast from doing the same thing to other innocent children? But that's all I really have to say about this. Go check out Dogpack 404's video for a more comprehensive coverage of this, because he really does an amazing job laying out all the facts in a coherent way. And don't forget to go check out some of my other videos if you enjoyed my coverage of this. Also, let me know down below if you like this video, because I want to try doing more videos like this in the future. So if you enjoyed this, just let me know. Again, thank you all for watching, and have a good night.